loved him while he was alive. We can't stop talking about him now that he's dead. But what if it never had to happen? What if Iron Man found a way to avoid dying in Avengers Endgame? Well, that's why we made this video. So here's what would have happened if Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, never died. Let's dive right into it, shall we? Shortest recap in the world. For the two people that didn't really watch this video, here's a little recap of what happened. After Thanos succeeded in destroying half of all life in the universe, the Avengers made it their mission to change the course of history and stop Thanos from snapping his damn fingers. They finally found a way and faced the whole wrath of Thanos and his army. Before he could wipe out all of life again, Tony stole the Infinity Stones from him during that tugging match, and it was all made possible thanks to nanotech. While Thanos was too busy looking perplexed, Tony looked him dead in the eye and said, "I am Iron Man." Boy, did that send chills down our spine. Anyways, with one snap of his fingers, Thanos was no more. Plus, everyone that Thanos wiped out of existence was alive again. This killed Tony, and we were watching the end of the movie with tears in our eyes. So, we therefore asked the question, what would have been different had Tony not died? There would be no Spider-Man Far From Home movie. The first thing that we could think about, which would be drastically different, would be the Spider-Man movie that came out immediately after Avengers Endgame. This movie was centered around the glasses that Tony Stark gave to Peter Parker, and how Mysterio tried to take them for himself. But why was Mysterio after those darn glasses? Well, for one thing, they used a special AI software that was way ahead of its time, and allowed the wearer to see an entire profile of the person opposite of him, thanks to the special program that Tony designed. But with great power comes great responsibility, and Parker is not the most responsible hero out there. Mysterio managed to get the glasses, and he spent the rest of the movie fighting to retrieve them. Had Iron Man not died, this would have been a completely different scenario. He would have been wearing the glasses himself, and him and Spider-Man would be able to defeat Mysterio without even breaking a sweat. But more importantly, we think that the movie would be drastically different if Tony lived through Endgame. There would be no need for Mysterio, as he wouldn't pose a real challenge. However, there's one thing that we still can't get around. What made the screenwriters decide they needed to kill off Iron Man?
And then he started doing the yellow sparkly thing that he does all the time. What are you doing?
Why did Tony Stark have to die? When they asked the screenwriters of Avengers Endgame why they killed off the main character of the show, they just said the following: because it legitimizes the whole thing. If you just keep going until it peters out or you lose interest, it kind of decays backwards, making people think less of everything that came before. To have the opportunity to very deliberately tie all those threads together and have it add up to something and have it end, that's what stories are about. Another interesting thing is the fact that they also ended Captain America's story arc in this movie. He got to live out his days with the love of his life, Peggy Carter. This went hand in hand with Robert Downey Jr.'s and Chris Evans' plan to terminate their contract with Marvel. So you could say that this is another thing that could have changed if Tony Stark didn't die. Fans would get bored with the movie, and the actor would get bored playing the role. This in turn would slowly start to deteriorate the movies they roll out and turn everything into a stinking pile of crap. Knowing when to end it is sometimes a good thing. What would the MCU look like if he hadn't? Not trying to be Captain Obvious here, but if Tony Stark hadn't died, this would mean that Thanos would be the undisputed ruler of the universe. Why? Because he has the Infinity Gauntlet with all of the stones. He is insanely powerful, and he was ready to kill all life on Earth after the Avengers attacked him. Let's face it, at the end of Avengers Endgame, Thanos was pissed. He wanted to exact his vengeance onto the world, and if Tony didn't sacrifice himself after stealing the Infinity Stones from his gauntlet, This would have meant Thanos becomes the ruler of the universe, with no one to oppose him. One of the less obvious things that we keep thinking about is Captain America's Endgame. At the end of the movie, we realize that Steve Rogers decided to stay in the past and live out his life with the one true love of his life. We therefore pose the question of whether or not he would make the same decision if Tony and Natasha didn't die in the movie. Well, some of the fans have said that Tony Stark being alive wouldn't change his decision at all. He would eventually end up with Peggy, regardless of what happened to the gang. Then there was one fan that opened our eyes to a rather interesting possibility. They say that Steve Rogers shrunk his own character. His duties as a hero were put on hold while he went on to live out his life as an average Joe, therefore belittling his role and duty. Now, we're not going to be arguing about love and social moral obligation or tell you which is more important. We are going to say, however, that it didn't really matter in the end. Seeing how that might be seen as a rather bold statement, let us try to explain why we think that. Based on what Tony Stark and Bruce Banner said about time travel, we know that your future version can't change the past by going back in time. That means that no matter how hard you tried, what you did in the past will always remain in the past. Craziest of all theories that speculates Tony might still be alive. We thought we'd save the best for last, so here goes. As soon as Tony died, fans began theorizing about ways that the writers could reincarnate him and keep him alive. The latest and craziest theory we've seen on the web is that Tony Stark is still alive thanks to AI. Namely, they say he has uploaded his consciousness onto a computer before the face-off with Thanos. Hold on, this could actually be possible. Knowing that he created AI before, Ultron being one of them, this is not a far stretch of the imagination. And the glasses that he gave to Peter Parker point to the direction of AI too. The only problem we can actually see with this plan is that of principle. We think that Tony Stark doesn't want to upload his consciousness into a computer for one simple reason. He doesn't want to traumatize his daughter and his loved ones by becoming a computerized version of himself. That's not to say that he couldn't do it. The man made an infinity gauntlet from nanotech.
I'm here to help. Stop.
On a related note, we wanted to know what you think about the death of Tony. You can tell us in the comment section below. If you'd like more videos like these, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of them. And as always, thanks for watching, guys.